Okay, we are all set. Awesome. So we can go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jamie Chavez. I'm the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And every Wednesday, we bring to you a live broadcast featuring one of our newest chamber members to introduce them and give them a chance to talk to you about their business. So if you're new to the broadcast, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And I encourage you to like our Facebook page and follow us so that you will receive notifications in the future when we go live. And if you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe and explore previous broadcasts there as well. So we also offer broadcasts on Mondays, which are dedicated to city updates from our city councilors, mayor pro tem, mayor, and other city leaders as well. And so that is your chance to hear about what's going on down at City Hall. And so I hope you will tune in for those ones as well. And then on one Friday a month, we reserve for Jefferson County Commissioner Rachel Zenzinger. So stay tuned for those ones as well. As you watch the broadcast this morning, we encourage you to engage with us, drop any comments, ask any questions in the chat, and we'll get to those during the interview. And now finally, a very warm welcome to the founders of Emma's Company. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Well, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you tell us about Emma's Company and how you got started and what you're up to and all that good stuff.
Okay. So we are Emma's Company. We are a small woman veteran-owned painting company based out of Westminster, Colorado. We travel everywhere up to Longmont, down to the northern part of Denver, and over to Boulder, and as far east as Brighton. We do interior, exterior painting, as well as staining, as well as we will do wallpaper accent walls and things like that. We got started in July of last year. I've been painting for 9 years, and Alyssa's been painting for 4. So combined, we have about 13 years of experience in the industry. We both started at a small company based out of Lafayette, working for another woman, and decided that we wanted more control over our quality of work and our time, and so we decided to start Emma's Company. So yeah, do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. So that's kind of a lot about us. We have a couple programs. So we do a program called the Painter for a Day program, which is...
Sorry, I missed it.
Painter for a Day program.
Okay.
So it's a program where we will send a painter out to you for $55 an hour plus materials. So if you have touch-ups around your house or a small project that not a lot of other painting companies will take on, we do offer that as a $250 minimum, whereas a lot of painting companies won't take anything less than $1,500. Is typically So it offers a way for you to kind of, if you're selling your house and just need to touch up, you can do that. We also do decks, fences, pergolas, staining outside, solid staining, as well as, I think I said, exterior painting. So
okay, got it. Yeah. I actually experienced that. So it's a nice program that you have there, because this wall behind me, I painted it myself. I did not want to paint it myself, but I really wanted those stripes, and nobody would come do it because it was just too small of a job.
Yeah, so that's something that we would take care of.
Yeah, yeah, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
Long time. So that would have been a good option. So as women and veterans and entrepreneurs, what inspired you to start your own painting company here in the area?
So we had worked for the small woman-owned company, and then we also worked for a larger commercial company because we wanted that kind of experience to know what we kind of wanted to do with our company, and we decided we hated commercial, and so we left that company, and that's why we joined Emma's, is because I didn't want to work for someone else and keep working for someone else. I find that sometimes painters and painting companies aren't always the best people, and so I felt like I have a lot of pride in my work and a lot of pride in my ownership of what I would like to present, and so I wanted to offer that to people with like truth and integrity.
Awesome. Yeah. Is Emma's a franchise or?
Nope. So we are just the one.
Yeah. So okay.
Yep.
And how'd you come up with the name?
So Emma's Company is named after the dog. So the little logo that we have is Emma. So we both wanted a woman-owned company or a woman-owned name so people knew that it was a woman-owned company readily. But neither of us really wanted. I didn't want Hillary's company, and Alyssa didn't want Alyssa's company. So we named it after the dog. And she makes a great mascot. So.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys have a lot of combined experience in the painting industry. So what are some key lessons that you've learned that set your company apart from other painting companies?
I would say that we both have a lot of other painting companies. They'll do things like tape off ceilings and caulk them. We cut all of our lines by hand, just because in Colorado a lot of the ceilings aren't perfect square corners and everything, and so we find that it looks way better doing things by hand. We do all of our trim and cabinets and countertops are all tape caulk, so you get nice straight lines on everything that's like connected to trim. But ceilings are the one thing that I find are better to do by hand. So I would say like that's one thing. We use higher quality paints, so we prefer to use what they call Duration or Regal. Both of those are Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore. They're just better quality paints. They'll increase the longevity of your wall and your life, and so we want to make sure that we're putting the best product that we can on your walls, so that you're not having to repaint in a shorter amount of time. Typically, you should be painting every 5 to 10 years. Depending on how bad the damage is. In Colorado, we get a lot of sun and a lot of hail, and so a lot of times it requires more upkeep on the outside of your house. And then on the inside, we get a lot of people moving, and so you got people coming to Colorado and leaving Colorado, and so a lot of times painting needs to be done there as well.
Yeah.
A lot of other painting companies also use subcontractors to do their work, and we do all of our own painting also. So it's us and then another woman that works with us. And as we grow, we plan to hire employees instead of using subcontractors.
Got it. Cool. And so you mentioned 5 to 7 years. Is that for exterior paint?
It's 5 to 10. Yeah, it's mostly for exterior, but your interior as well. It's important to upkeep. If you start seeing things peeling or failing, address it right away, because the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get, and then the more expensive it's going to be to fix it. So if you can address it, address it. I wouldn't let it wait, especially in Colorado. It'll take about a year to start spreading all over.
Got it. Okay. And so when people are considering like a big interior painting project, what are some things that they should consider in planning that?
So like moving furniture. So we offer to move furniture if there's an older couple or a person that can't move furniture. We have the ability to move all of your furniture. Knowing like what days you can be there. You don't necessarily have to be there, but if you don't want to be there, or if you want to be there, then we kind of have to work with your schedule to make sure that we can get in there when you're there. Generally, though, people will let us in at 8 a.m. and then they'll leave, and we leave at 4:30. If they're not home, we lock up for them and everything. We take care of the property. We always clean up after we paint, so we make sure that we're not leaving debris and stuff in your house. We want to make sure that we leave it as clean. If not cleaner than we found it. I would say, what else? That's pretty much it. It's mostly timing, making sure you know what quality of paint you're getting on your walls, if you need us to move your furniture or not. If you want to take face plates off, like so on outlet covers, face plates,
sure.
Things like that, I have to charge for that time. So if it's something that you're willing to do, it can save you some money on your project. The same thing.
And it probably adds up by the time you take all the face plates off in your whole house.
Yeah. If it's a room, it's like not that much, but if it's like the whole house, yeah, it can add up to a couple hundred. So.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Do you guys, what are some of like the big trends right now in like colors or walls, or what are people doing with paint right now?
So it used to be the millennial gray was in for a long time, right? Everybody wanted like agreeable gray or some kind of gray, and they're on their walls. And I still personally like it, but I'm a big fan of accent walls, which is probably millennial in me. But I like a little bit of an accent wall. But a lot of people are shifting away from the grays and the accent walls of painted accent walls, and they're moving to more beiges, and wallpaper's coming back, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I have wallpaper in my house.
Yeah,
in my bathroom and in my daughter's room. Yeah,
it went away for a while, and it's coming back. There was a while, like I want to say like 5 years or so, I was removing a ton of wallpaper. Because nobody wants the 80s wallpaper. Now they want like the new graphic wallpaper and things like that. So we get a lot of calls for wallpaper accent walls. We don't typically do full rooms just because it's a little bit more complicated. And I would say I don't have that experience to do a full room, but accent walls are easy enough for us.
Oh, so you will do it.
We generally have to, we recommend that you skim your walls when doing an accent wallpaper. A lot of walls in Colorado are textured compared to like the East Coast where they're all smooth. and wallpaper just adheres better to a smooth wall. So skimming your wall, and it tends to be a big commitment, because if you ever want to get rid of it, now you have a smooth wall that probably needs to be retextured to match all your other walls if you want it. So it's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you're OSHA 10 and 30 certified. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So how do those certifications influence your approach to projects and ensure client safety?
So you want to?
I don't.
So
residential, it's not.
It's not as important for residential.
Yeah.
It's more for commercial. A lot of commercial companies want your OSHA qualifications, OSHA 10 at a minimum. We both got OSHA 30 certified because we were higher up in the company and overseeing people. So we wanted to make sure that we knew as much as we could. We do say that we're OSHA 10 and 30 because I think it brings a peace of mind. We do have those safety qualifications. So even if we don't necessarily, we're not using scaffolding in most people's houses. We're not using, we're not having to work around like open power lines, and we're not around open dug trenches or around heavy equipment. So a lot of times when you're in a commercial setting, you're having to deal with a lot of that stuff. But in residential, unless you're doing a new build in residential, it's not as important.
Got it. Okay. And do you do a lot of commercial work as well?
We try to stay away from large commercial projects. We don't take on multifamilies or large warehouse projects, but we do small office or retail spaces. So anything that's like the size of a retail space, we can totally take on. But if it starts getting into like a warehouse size, it tends to be a little bit big for us since we're such a small crew right now. It might be something we look to in the future in maybe 5 or 10 years. But like I said, we aren't a fan of the commercial. I'm not a fan of having to repaint things 5 or 6 times because people keep damaging things. We kind of stay away from that. But we do like residential and office space. We love painting. Like we've done a couple of office evolutions and things like that.
Okay.
And so we enjoy those.
I feel like salons might be a really good place for you guys to be too, because everybody wants an accent wall in their salon space.
Yeah, we've done 1 or 2 salons with a previous company that we worked for. So we've done them. We've had experience with them, but haven't gotten the opportunity with them as yet. So we'd love to.
Yeah, very cool. So as a local business, how do you engage with the Westminster community, and what does being a part of this community mean to you?
Okay, so we are currently, since we're so new, we have spent a lot of time just trying to get everything organized and get our company up and going, but we joined the Westminster Leads group, and that has been fantastic. I love the people that we've met in our Leads group. They're just wholehearted, warm people, and they have a lot of good input. If I have questions about things, it's nice that I have people within the Westminster Chamber. I currently have had a couple clients asking for drywall people and things like that, because we don't do big drywall retextures and stuff. And so I'll often say, like, I'll check out we're part of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. I'll look through and see if there's anyone that I can connect you with. So I find myself referring back to the Westminster Chamber of Commerce a lot of times for people, which is kind of fun to be able to bring that network together.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. We'd love to do more of the ribbon cuttings and things like that. We just haven't had the time. But the Leads group has been fantastic. And then we also really enjoy the business after hours.
Awesome.
Like to check out the new spaces and stuff that you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what challenges have you faced as owning having a woman veteran-owned business in the painting industry? What challenges do you face, and how do you overcome them?
So I would say one of them would be that we get some flack about advertising as being woman-owned. People, especially being in a male-dominated field, they think that it's sexist for us to advertise that we're women-owned. It's kind of a little wild card that we've kind of come across that I've never experienced before. And I played ice hockey growing up, so I've always been female in male-dominated areas. So I'm kind of used to it, but I find that I have to hold my tongue a little bit more as a business owner, as opposed to a hockey player. I used to chirp a little bit more, and now I have to keep it reserved and be polite. And so she's good. She's like, watch it. So she keeps me in check sometimes. But I would say people sometimes they don't think that women can do the job that men can do. So I can move 28, 32 foot ladders on the outside of the house. And some people are like, you can get up there. And I'm like, yeah, we get up there just fine. It's not a problem. Like, we can do everything. I would say the hardest parts are like when people have huge TV entertainment systems. Yeah. Like that is the one thing, or like huge oak bed sets that are just like super heavy. We have sliders that we slide under the feet so we can kind of slide it around. But getting the entertainment system up to get the slider under can sometimes be difficult. And so in the past, like we've had our male coworkers help us out with some of that stuff. So eventually we'll probably end up hiring some male companions because we like working with men. They're fun. We have a great time. But right now we don't have one, so it can be a little difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I never even thought about like TVs that are, you know,
they get heavy.
on the wall. Like you've got to.
We're also in the process of trying to purchase a company vehicle. So currently we're working out of my vehicle. I have a Subaru Forester. We have a magnet on the side and a roof rack, and it can carry everything that we need right now. But eventually, when we start getting busier, we're going to need 2 vehicles because I do a lot of the estimating and Alyssa does a lot of the field work, and the bookkeeping, and so we're going to need another vehicle. So we're looking at buying a truck right now. And so that's something we're navigating that we haven't really had to navigate in the past besides buying a car, but doing it through a company is a little different. So
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, there's lots of people that you can look to in the chamber and in your leads group to help with a bunch of stuff like that. So, so what advice would you give to other veterans or other women considering starting their own business?
I would say, so Alyssa, I mean, you can probably, so Alyssa's our veteran. I'm not a veteran. So Alyssa owns 51% of the company. So she's our veteran half. So she did a lot of work with getting us certified to the SBA as a woman veteran-owned company because we find the certifications were important to us.
Yeah, navigating the certification process was a little confusing, but definitely like stick with it because I think in the end to get that certification is definitely worth it to be able to advertise that you are legitimately women and veteran certified, because I think there is a demographic that really is attracted to companies that are women and or veteran owned.
Yeah.
I would also say that starting a company, it's a risk. Like you kind of have to just like jump in and go for it, but it's a calculated risk. So you want to make sure you know your rates, specifically for painting. Like you want to make sure you know your rates. You want to know how long things are going to take you, because a lot of those mistakes early on, when you don't have the liquidity to like deal with a mistake, can really hurt you. And so I was very lucky that I had worked so long and been so ingrained in that old company. I was going on estimates. I was getting all that experience because I was looking at buying it for a while, and I found that it ended up helping me become my own. So I mean, I would say if you want to get into a painting company, like there are painting companies out there that would be willing to teach you things as long as you're not in direct competition with them. So maybe talking to other painting companies, seeing what they think. There's a network called the PCA, which is the Painting Contractors of America, that we're looking to join here in the next year. It's about a $500 fee a year, but they have a lot of helpful information about like how to do estimates, what national rates are, how much you should be charging, all of that stuff. And I knew of Colorado because I had been in Colorado for so long painting. But if we were to ever franchise or grow or try to do anything, move states or anything like that, we would want that information.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what are your aspirations for Emma's company in the next 5 years?
Definitely to have a vehicle. And then we want to grow our crew size. So we'd like to have probably a crew of 6 to 7 painters that are full-time. Right now, we're kind of spotty because the winter months are slow, so it's hard. And then the summer months get super extreme. So trying to carry that those employees for a full year, I need to be able to stay busy enough to be able to do that. So trying to grow to probably 6 to 7 employees, have a vehicle. We're looking to do around $250,000 in revenue by like probably 2 to 3 years out. And then eventually I'd like to get to $1 million, but that's probably more than 5 years out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you walk us through like what a typical process from the first consultation to the final walkthrough is with you guys?
Yeah. So first off, scheduling an estimate, we recommend you go to emmaspaintingcompany.com and schedule our estimates there. And then I would reach out to you and set up a date and a time for me to come out and look at your project. I don't do any projects without looking at them in person and meeting people, and there's too many scams out there. So we will come out, we'll look at your project, we'll take measurements of all the spaces, talk about what you're looking for in quality of paint, what you're looking for color-wise, if you're looking to go super dark, super light, all of that impacts your bid. If you're willing to move furniture, if you want us to do it, all of that. And then I go back into the office and I'll write up your proposal and send it out to you in about 2 to 3 days, sometimes 3 to 4. Depends how busy I am. And at that point, then if you like the price and want to move forward, then you let me know and I can write up a contract. We require a 30% deposit, and that gets you on the schedule and holds your space and allows us to buy the materials before we show up and everything. And then the rest is due upon completion. And so then you would sign that contract and send it back with a deposit, and we put you on the calendar. And then from that point, we set up a date and time. I'll check in with you before we show up at your house just to make sure you remember we're coming. And then we typically start at 8 a.m. and we work to 4:30 with about a half hour to an hour lunch. And then we're flexible too. Like if you are like, I can't be there at 8, I need you to move. We will move to like 9 if you need us to kind of shimmy around. But we try to be out by 4:30 so we're not in people's houses while they're eating dinner and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, we do a final walkthrough. When the project's done, we typically like our customers to be there just so that they can walk around and look at their space and make sure everything looks good. We already are in the paint, so if you need to do touch-ups, that's the easiest for us. But if you ever not available to be there and you need to look at it at a different time, or you want to wait a day till you get better lighting in the winter, it gets dark early, so it's hard to see things. That's totally fine. We still request payment at that time, but we'll always come back and do touch-ups if you have touch-ups and things like that. Our goal is not to have any touch-ups. We try our best to try not to have that happen, but occasionally it's hard to see things at night and stuff like that. So
yeah,
if you touch-up, it's free of charge. We come back, no problem.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. So what has been, can you think of like one of your favorite transformations, like maybe just a space that was completely different after you painted it, or what has been something that you've been really excited to do?
I think there was a house where she wanted to do color drenching. So she picked a very dark color and she had very tall ceilings and all wood trim in her house. And it was just, she went, I forget what color was in there. Before
it was a
white. So it went from white to just black everything. And we were a little skeptical at first, but I think at the end it looked really good in her house, and it was some complicated things to paint. So it was a really rewarding job to finish as well.
Yeah.
Got it. What is color drenching? It just means adding a ton of color, or? So
color drenching is typically when you paint your ceiling, your walls, and your trim and doors all one color, one sheen. Okay. It's also a trend that's going on right now. And people are picking very dark colors to do color drenching in, which is interesting, like deep greens, blues, blacks. It's really interesting way to accentuate your space. I would say that if you have tall ceilings, it works great. If you have a small room, it can be a little confining or claustrophobic. But it's kind of a fun little trend that's going on, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look that up now because I haven't heard of that. So I'm going to look it up after this. What are some misconceptions about the painting industry or things that you wish people knew?
I don't know. I would say that there's a lot of stereotypes about painters, and they're just often, I hear that like painters are unreliable, and I've experienced this personally from running. I trained over 120 employees at one of my old company how to paint and taught them, and they're just, a lot of times they are spotty. They have drug or addiction problems and things like that, and it's hard, and so it's frustrating sometimes when you're trying to grow your company, making sure you're vetting those people and making sure that you're not having those, but also like, I'm a very compassionate person, and so I'm willing to give people opportunities and work with them as long as they're willing to work on themselves. But I think that a lot of stereotypes are true about painters, and it's frustrating because we're not like that. We are very different than the typical painter, which is I think why we've been able to start our own company and everything. A lot of painters will start a company and it's too much paperwork or too much work, and they end up not keeping up with their clients and falling apart, and then they end up working for someone else and being like, it was just too difficult to start my own company. I was more work than I thought it was going to be, and we very much are not that. We are high quality painters. We do good work. We take pride in our work. We're not going to cut corners. We're not going to use cheaper paint than what we say we're going to use. We do what we say when we say how we say. So it's important for us to have that integrity and honesty, because I think that a lot of painters have bad stereotypes of not being that.
Yeah. We have a question from Dave. What are your favorite and least favorite colors to paint?
I hate fleshy tones. So when someone picks like a really like fleshy color for their walls, and it can look great on a color swatch, and then you put it everywhere and it picks up the yellow light from the room and it just makes it super pink and fleshy, and I hate them. It's rare that we get them, but occasionally we do. And after I'm done, I'm like, oh, I don't even want to post these on the website. I'm like, it's not attractive. But that would probably be one of my least favorite. Or I'm not a fan of yellow either, personally. But some people are. So I'm just not a yellow person.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, I'm definitely a blue. I like turquoises. But like you have to pick the right blue. Like I like deeper blues. I don't like I hate baby blue, personally. So
yeah,
I had a woman paint her dining room like baby girl pink on the top and baby boy blue on the bottom. And I was
geez.
like, ugh. And the husband came in and he's like, what did you choose? Because the wife was in charge of it. And she's like, I love it. It's my room. And I was like, okay.
Oh boy.
But
Yeah.
It's interesting. Do you have a least favorite color?
So this is a little, it's not a color, but I find it's very satisfying to me when someone has more of the yellow, like builder grade color ceilings. And then we come in and we paint it white. Ceilings aren't always easy, but I find it very satisfying to get that nice, clean look of a white ceiling.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Well, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you would like people to know about Emma's company or about the two of you, or?
I don't know. Do you want to talk a little bit about your No. Okay. Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. Painting, there's only so much you can talk about painting. I could tell you stories all day, but about the actual company itself, it's pretty straightforward. Eventually, I guess this is one. We'd like to start doing some charity work. So like I know one of the old companies I worked for, we painted some schools. Like we painted Peak to Peak, and we painted Peak to Peak and Centaurus High School. And so we just donated our time, and then we were able to have a paint company donate all the materials. So a lot of like the bigger like Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams are willing to do that. And so that's just really fulfilling for me. And I like helping out my community and giving back in those ways. So that's something that I'd like to get to at some point. I just know I need to keep developing a better relationship with my paint reps and things like that.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. So.
Cool. Any horror stories? You ever dropped a can of paint on a floor?
Yeah. I've actually never had anything terrible happen to me personally. I have had in the past when I worked for another company, I had a painter get paint on a sound bar, and instead of telling me about it, because you can fix most things. If you get paint on something, you can usually get it off if you address it right away. But a lot of people get scared and they run and they try to hide it, and I'm like, I always told new painters, I was like, if you mess up, just tell me, because I can fix it. But if you don't tell me, I have to do damage control. And so what they did, they didn't tell me, and they just took the soundbar and they flipped it over. And so then they hit it, which was even worse. And I had the homeowner find it, and luckily it wasn't within our company, but it was in a company I worked for, and that person got fired.
Oh yeah.
I can't put you in someone else's house if I can't trust you.
Right.
It's just, I wouldn't do that to someone,
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on today and just letting people know about Emma's company and how can they reach you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can either call me at my cell phone. It's 484-639-1343, or you can go to emmaspaintingcompany.com, and we have a link there that you can request a quote from us, as well as look at some of our portfolio pictures. We have a bunch of our portfolio up there, and some Google reviews as well. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you both so much. And thanks everybody who joined, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. Bye.